So look, I want to go deep into more science with all of this, which is great, but I'm not a scientist. I'm not an expert when it comes to all of this type of stuff, when it comes to actually teaching it for a living. I'm some guy that has literally had a human experience and has learned a lot of this stuff along the way and realized that it not only works for me, but a lot of other people. But there is someone in the room that has an amazing background as a medical biohacker, as really a top performer. In fact, she's South Africa's leading biohacker. She writes for all different articles, including for Lorna Jane. She helps people to not only understand why we need to do particular things to become better in terms of our own personal performance, but she has so much knowledge and science to show it. It's almost like, well, if you don't believe me, here's the science, and I just love that. I absolutely love it. So I was going to do a whole official introduction, read the biography, but I just want to say one thing. Dr. Tamara Pfeiffer is an amazing person. She's a great friend. She's been someone that has impacted my life, Chantel's life as well. Her knowledge is second to none. She's leading the wave here in South Africa, and this is so cool to have one of our own here in South Africa, really taking this whole piece of medical biohacking and understanding the concept of the ability that you can actually live to hundreds of years old. In fact, we had an interview the other week, and she mentioned that in our lifetime, someone is or will be born that will live to 200 because of all of this kind of stuff that she's working on. So it's people like her that's going to allow that to happen. So I think that's a pretty awesome intro to know that this next person that's coming up is literally going to be able to blow your mind with a few extra hacks. And at the same time, we're going to speak a little bit more on this whole mindfulness piece. So I'd love for you to all jump up, to stand up and give, and let's look at this energy. Come on, right up really, really quickly. And give a massive, massive South African welcome to Dr. Tamara Pfeiffer.
Hello, thank you.
Great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. So, Dr. Pfeiffer, can we call you Tamara today?
Yeah, please call me Tamara.
Look, it's great to have you on here. We've got to know each other over the last few years. Really love the work that you focus on. It's pretty phenomenal, to be honest, and I think it's quite mind-blowing. I'm going to let you run with some really cool info in a moment, but let's talk this mindfulness piece a little bit more, because it's quite interesting scientifically. So do you want to add a little bit more to what I was saying?
So what's really interesting is we just had a conference in South Africa, in Joburg, called the Singularity University. Does anybody know about that? Anybody went? This, I swear, if we could just broadcast this to the whole of this country, the entire sentiment about what's going on will change. Because we hear a lot of negativity. And the reason I'm bringing this up is there was a gentleman there who has opened up schools all over South Africa and Africa that practice mindfulness as the majority of the day. So they help the kids from the age of 3 all the way up to matric work on meditation and mindfulness to activate every region of the brain, to increase the connectivity of all of those neurons, to change pathways. Because if you imagine the way we're trained to think every single day, if you think of one field that has long grass and it's full of snakes and creepy things and we really don't want to go in there, and we have another one that society has taught us the way to think, and it's got a beautiful path because generations and generations and generations have walked it. So there are no rocks in the way, there's no snakes, there's no spiders, no creepy crawlies. In order to get through to that amazing side where you believe you have your own potential, where you're not limited by what society is showing you, where you're not limited by your circumstances, we've got to really train to get this to be our easy path and let that one grow over. So this thing is called the Maharaji Institute. They're all over and it's free. I see you're waving. Are you involved in it? Amazing. The most incredible thing. Changing minds all over. Free school for kids from any community all over Africa.
It's really cool to hear it. And again, this is this whole piece of everything going mainstream when it comes to what would be seen as alternative practices. I get really excited that everyone here today gets to kind of dive in a little bit on this, because this is not mainstream network marketing training, is it? I mean, most people wouldn't teach it. But ultimately, this is just going to hack someone's performance. They're going to perform better and be happier.
Absolutely. So what we're really looking at today in my talk is there's just so much to talk about, as James was saying. It's so difficult to sort of push it all into a few minutes, a few hours. But what we wanted to really focus on was what can you implement today in this room, tonight, for the weekend, for the week ahead, for the month ahead, for the whole of November, December, and next year, that's going to change your performance so dramatically without costing you another cent.
I like that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Well, I'm going to leave you to it. Cool. You're ready to rock and roll, so I'm going to jump off this way.
Okay, guys, how are you feeling after all of that? That was a lot of amazing information, right? Yes. And I want to share a little bit with that waking up earlier, because I learned a little bit about waking up earlier from Australia, actually. I spent 6 months living with an Aboriginal tribe out in the outback. And the king of the Wadandi Pibbleman tribe once said to me that you need to wake up before all the ideas are taken. Isn't that cool? Yeah. That really stuck with me. And since then, I haven't woken up after 4 a.m. So we're going to talk a little bit today about becoming limitless. How many of you watched that movie? Becoming Limitless. How many of you would take the risk of having that pill, even though it's got those side effects? Yeah, you would. So really interestingly, they asked 3,000 top performers in every single avenue, in business, in sports, the Olympic athletes, all across. If we could give you that one magic pill that would make you the best in the world, legendary, but you would die in 5 years, would you take it? How many people do you think said yes? 95% people said they would rather be extraordinary for 5 years than ordinary for another 80. Right? So we're living in a world now where being extraordinary is not even good enough anymore. We need to fully optimize, and that's what medical biohacking is about. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about purpose. I'm going to unpack a little bit about what James said. How many of you have something that you just totally nerd out for? It's the best thing in the world. It makes you so happy you will wake up at 4 a.m. every morning for it. How many of you have that? Not so many. How many of you want to have that? What if that thing could make you money? Would you do that? Yes. Yeah? How many of you want to take just 3 seconds to think about the thing that you love the most in the world? Write it down. So now that you've thought about it, are you good at that thing that you wrote down? Hey, I'd say yes, right? Because we've been conditioned that if we're good at something, we love it. We love doing what we're good at. We don't like doing things we're not good at. We need to practice the things we're not good at. So what if you found the thing you love, you're really good at it, and what if you could find a way that you could help somebody or a group of people or the world with that thing that you love? Now imagine you could get paid for it. Now, when you think about life like that, it could be so fulfilling. We could wake up filled with energy and joy every morning instead of really in that kind of position, walking towards work, towards the car, away from the people you love, right? So if you can find what you love and you're good at it, that's your passion. And if what you love is what the world needs, that could be a true mission that you could live your life by. And if you can get paid for it and you're good at it, you can make a career out of this. So, here's where I nerd out. This is the biochemistry of your entire body. How cool is that, right? This is my favorite website in the whole world. I sit and study this every single morning. So now I'm going to get to what is medical biohacking. We started off medicine where we waited until there was a wound, and then we put a plaster on that wound, right? That's fantastic. You can't see the wound anymore. Then we moved a little bit beyond that, where we moved into wellness and integrative medicine and functional medicine. Now what are we doing? Now we're healing the wound. Then we went beyond that and we went into advanced preventative medicine. Now we're looking at ways, how can we change today? How can we change the way we behave, what our lifestyle does? How can we look at our genetics and prevent ourselves from getting those predisposed diseases of our family? Do you know that only 25% of you getting your predisposed diseases, so say my grandmother had heart disease, my mother had heart disease, I have heart disease, my child's going to have heart disease. Only 25% of that is genetic. 75% is the environment you put those genes into. We have 75% chance of changing our health, our performance, our success, destiny. It's a big responsibility, but we've got to break that line somewhere, and we've got to break it before it affects our children. So medical biohacking takes it even further. We study this inside and out. We study your whole genetic genome inside and out, and we make sure that we can find anything that's not happening optimally. Are you not breaking down vitamin B as well, genetically? Are you not producing enough energy? We can now plug the holes in that bucket in such a unique way that it makes you stronger, faster, smarter, more successful, focus better. Who wants that? Okay. Oh. Right. So today, as I said, there is so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about regarding diet and nutraceuticals and exercise and amazing things. But I want to focus on mental health enhancement, performance, health, happiness, optimism, motivation, starting today in this room. We're going to talk about posture. We're going to talk about breathing, laughing and smiling. And I'm so glad that James made you guys do that a few times today. It's actually going to make you live longer. I'll tell you about that later. Energy and sleep. Look at that guy. How many of you have pets at home? How many of you have dogs at home? I'm talking to the dog people now. So something happened actually last week that really, it hit me hard. One of my friends came to my house, and I have the happiest dog known to man or beast. I'm pretty sure they all are, but mine's special because it's mine. And he just runs around like crazy, and he is in so much joy no matter what. And my friend looked at this doggy and said, humans will never be that happy. My little heart sank. Why can't we be as happy as that dog? Why not? We look at this little doggy, he poos in the house, you shout at him, he is miserable for literally a second, and then he's your best friend again. And not even best friend, with such enthusiasm you've never seen in your entire life. Right? If this doggy has the ability to change like that, why can't we? We're more evolved than the doggy. We can change. So there's somebody that I respect very much that said something and did something that's a little braver than I've ever been able to do with a patient. But what happened was, the client walks in, and immediately before even greeting this person, starts to complain. Everything's so terrible, the economy is down, I can't sell my house, the petrol is sky high, the government's terrible, everything is horrible, I'm fighting with my spouse, everything's terrible, crying in a ball. And this guy walks in, and he goes, "What do you think you're doing? We haven't started yet." What do you think the person did? I don't have the guts to do that. Immediately they sat back, started laughing, and they were like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. How are you? How's your family doing? You know, I noticed on the way in, you've painted the house. It looks so beautiful. The entire attitude changed like that. And what did the guy say to them? You see what you just did there? You changed your entire mental state in a split second. There's no reason that any other time of the day you can't do that. Isn't that an amazing lesson, right? We have the power to change it. We have the power to choose to stay upset and stay angry, or we have the power to send love, abundance, health, right? That's my new thing, by the way, when people cut me off in traffic. Love, abundance, health. Okay. So just before I go to the next one, I want everybody to freeze. Don't move. Look around at everybody. Look at how everybody's sitting. In particular, look at how men are sitting differently to women. Decades and decades and decades have taught women to take up as little space as possible in every situation. Right? How many of our arms were crossed? How many of our legs were crossed? How many of us were sitting closed? Men, so much space. This is my world. Right? Now, what's interesting is the way you are sitting, your posture is actually changing your neurochemistry. Now, imagine what that's doing to us, sitting in the boardroom, sitting across from somebody important, sitting across from a prospect, going on your first date. When we're sitting like this and we don't feel good enough and we're feeling insecure and our happy hormones are down and our stress hormones are up, and he's sitting there like, yeah, you're lucky to be here. Right? Okay. Now I want you to all close your eyes for me. Everybody, play along. Close eyes, close eyes, close eyes. I want you to think about something really sad. I want you to really get depressed now. Go deeper. Imagine the day it happened. Imagine what you felt. Imagine what the people around you said to you. Go deeper. Feel more depressed. Lower. Smaller. Feel it. Now don't move, but open your eyes. Can you see how you're sitting? Can you see your head is down, shoulders crouched, arms in as small as possible? Look how familiar this looks. How many hours a day are you sitting like that? Sorry. How many of you sit in front of the computer hunched over like this for 1 hour a day? 2 hours. Keep your hands up. 5 hours. 8 hours. What is that doing to us and our neurochemistry for 8 to 10 hours a day sitting in a depressed posture? Powerful, right? They say sitting is the new smoking. So it goes even beyond the neurochemistry that we just spoke about, where it's physically making us more depressed. It's physically making us more or less capable to make decisions, less confident. It's holding us back in our careers. And besides that, it's crushing your lungs, crushing your heart, putting pressure on all your internal organs, and having even worsening effects on that level, which we'll get into another day. Now imagine what's happening to your kids. You know, in America, they are doing spinal fusions on children because of arthritis in their neck as young as 7 because of this position for so long every day. 7 years old, guys. And that's just the physical stuff on the spine. Can you imagine what's going on in the neurochemistry? How many of our kids are depressed and so stressed out? We weren't stressed out as kids. Not like this. We were running, jumping, climbing trees. Right? 30 extra kilograms of stress on that spine from looking at a cell phone. But here's the good news. You can change, scientifically proven, you can change your neurochemistry in 90 seconds by changing your posture. 90 seconds. Now, one of the most powerful things on here is, firstly, if you hug yourself, it's been scientifically proven, thank you, Jenny, for hugging yourself, to reduce pain, hugging yourself. But one of the most important things on here is, power poses increase calculated risk and on-the-spot decision-making by 45%. Now imagine you are sitting across from somebody who you need to close a deal with. Imagine you could build such strong rapport with them that slowly, throughout the conversation, you start mirroring them first, and then you get them to start mirroring you. And slowly you're sitting up straighter and straighter. And slowly you're taking up more and more space. And slowly they're doing the same. And they are 45% more prone to make that on-the-spot decision. And you close the deal. So what does the power pose do? And you can choose your own power pose. It doesn't have to be anything set up by anybody else. But it increases testosterone, which increases energy and confidence. It reduces cortisol, so you're less stressed. And exactly as James said, do you know what happens when you're stressed? The thinking part of your brain switches off first. You're in survival mode. You have to run away from the predator and make a plan and get out. So you're not thinking logically. You're not calculating what you have to say, right? It decreases feelings of powerlessness. And it decreases imposter syndrome. Who's heard of imposter syndrome? Anyone? Becoming a very sticky word in psychology at the moment. Who has ever felt, in fact, right now in this room, who feels like everybody here knows more than me? Hey? I'm not as good as the person next to me. I don't deserve to be here. Sitting at that boardroom table with high-level executives, they're going to catch me out. I'm faking it. I'm not as confident as I'm pretending to be. It's an actual syndrome now, guys. And changing your posture and having a power pose for 90 seconds before that meeting can reduce that from happening. Help you make decisions. 45% better chance of you giving input at that board meeting that accelerates your career. So, get up. I want to see your power pose. In case you didn't know I was nerdy enough, this is me going to Comic-Con dressed as Wonder Woman. And that is my power pose. But there are lots of power poses out there. There's Superman, who stands like this. There are guys who like this one. Whatever your power pose is, find it, feel it, do it now. No one's watching, no one cares, everyone's doing it together. Build muscles, do this one. Okay, I'll let you off the hook. You can sit. But what I want from you now is no one is slouching again for the rest of the day. Everyone is sitting up straight, shoulders back, chest up, head up, straight. No more small. It's going to be a long day. Your back's going to get tired in the beginning. You can do it. You are powerful. Okay. So, one of my professors, when I first graduated, said something very, very interesting to me. Again, stuck with me throughout my entire career, affected every single consultation, every meeting, every friendship, every interaction I ever had. If you do not make your patient laugh or cry in your consultation, you have not changed their biochemistry, and you have not started the healing process. how better to build rapport than to get the person in front of you laughing? The minute you've got that rapport, what happens? They start mirroring you. You get the 45% increase in the yes. I'll keep bringing that up. Okay, so is laughter the best medicine? Yeah? It increases dopamine and serotonin, happy reward hormones. What it also does is it helps you stick to healthy eating plans, because if you're getting your rewards from laughing, you don't need to reward with chocolate as much. Dopamine also helps you focus. It helps you make decisions. It helps you set long-term goals. It helps with relaxation. It increases endorphins. It's actually been called internal jogging. Isn't that fun? So laughing is internal jogging. You are changing the way the blood flows to the muscles. You are increasing endorphins. Endorphins are released from opioid receptors. It's the same thing they'd use with morphine. Right? What does that do? Decreases pain, makes you feel so happy. Yeah? We can do this without side effects. Helps with relaxation, increases energy, reduces stress and anxiety, and it increases social bonds. How many times have you been laughing with somebody, or not even you? You saw someone laughing over there. Don't even know what they're laughing at, but you start laughing too, right? And then the people around you start laughing. Suddenly the whole room is laughing, and the whole hotel is laughing. And now everybody is more confident. Everybody's focusing better. Everybody's happier. And there's so much more. So we all kind of know that laughter makes us happy. Laughter gives us energy. We could assume that, right? But it does so much more than that. It's been shown in clinical trials to reduce pain in chronic pain sufferers, people with arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, fibromyalgia. 10 minutes of laughter reduced pain for 2 hours. Amazing, right? So not only does it go through those opioid receptors like the morphine, but it increases blood flow to the area and it relaxes the muscles. You're feeling better for 2 hours just to laugh for 10 minutes. Now that's a workout. I don't know how many of you have tried to laugh for 10 minutes. So it's a bit of a workout. It strengthens the immune system. It helps with IgA, IgG, and natural killer cells. What does that do? That reduces infections from bacteria, from viruses. It's even been proven to start helping with cancer cells because your immune system is able to start eating them away. Your endocrine system. Who knows what that is? Endocrine system. It's everything. It's every hormone. It starts in your pituitary gland, hypothalamus, goes down to your thyroid. Thyroid controls your metabolism. Goes to your pancreas. Pancreas helps you with sugar metabolism. How many of you have trouble sleeping? Yeah? How many of you struggle to fall asleep? How many of you are falling asleep, but then waking up throughout the night and then just getting tired just before the alarm goes off? You know, that's the first sign that you've got irregular sugar. First sign. Sign 2, start to put on weight around the belly. Sign 3, insulin resistance. And then eventually, 5 to 10 years later, we look at diabetes. So we pick up the signs now, we fix it. There's no reason to go there, right? Okay, cardiovascular function. So now we're talking about the heart. Who likes scary movies? Who likes dramas and sad movies? Keep your hands up for all of these. Who likes things based on war and tearjerkers and things like that? Okay, hands down. Who likes comedies? Okay, good news for comedy lovers, bad news for other guys. They did a huge clinical study. They showed, and they used the film Saving Private Ryan. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that or not. That was the sad movie. The people who watched the sad movie increased inflammation around the heart, reduced their good cholesterol, and reduced blood flow to the heart by 22%. and the effect lasted 2 days. People in the happy section, people who watched comedies, blood flow increased by 35%, good cholesterol increased by 26%, and inflammation around the heart down by 66% for up to 2 days. Laughing's important, guys. Got to keep doing it. So we can see that it's going to help to mitigate chronic disease because it helps with pain, it helps with infection. But did you know that it can also regulate your genes? So we spoke a little bit about the genes earlier. We've got genes written in pen and genes written in pencil. The ones written in pencil, that's called epigenetics. That's what we can control with environment, diet, lifestyle, all of those things. 28 genes are affected by laughter that we know of right now. All of those genes affect heart health, diabetes, longevity, and immune regulation. 18 of them immediately affect how your immune responds to the outside environment. Isn't that amazing? So there was a very, very interesting study that was done, and I wonder how many of you can guess what is the number one thing that they've proven across the entire world and across many, many, many studies. The number one thing that's been shown to increase the years of your life. Who wants to try? Laughter? I kind of built you guys up to this, didn't I? The amount of times... Did you want to say?
Memories, happy memories.
Good guess. Smiles, good guess. The number of times you make eye contact and smile at people during the day is the number one thing that increases your longevity, and the magic number is 50. How many times have you done it today? You've at least done it twice now with James. Did you guys smile at the guy who let you in the gate? Yes. Do you smile at your barista who makes you coffee? Yes. At the petrol attendant? Yes. At every family member? With eye contact? No. Gonna fix that in the last slide. Okay. Our next step is breathing. We've already touched on breathing so beautifully with James, so I'm going to go a little bit faster through this one. But breathing is one of those things you don't think about until you can't do it, right? What's really interesting about breathing is one of the only things that's a double gateway in your body. It's both autonomic and somatic. What that means is it's both controlled by your body. Most of the time we don't even realize we're breathing. But it's something that we can also have control over. Now, if you think about it, what else is like that? There's nothing like that. We can't control our heart rate. That's by the body. We can't control peristalsis. That's by the body, the way your intestines move. Right? Why science is so interested in this is because if a stressful situation or pain or infection or disease changes the way you breathe, then if we change the way we breathe, can we change all those things? And the answer is they're proving it's right. So the scientists are mainly on board regarding cortisol that we spoke about. That's our stress hormone. Now, what's really interesting is when we're overstressed, what happens? Something that you don't expect. Your stomach acid goes down. What happens when your stomach acid goes down? You can't digest proteins, vitamin B6, vitamin B12. But you know what else your stomach acid does? It closes the sphincters on either side of your stomach so that when you digest your food, the food and the acid stays in the stomach. What happens when it's too low? We get heartburn. 95% of heartburn is from too low stomach acid, not too high. What do we do then? We take something to switch off stomach acid. The downstream effect of that is from your stomach down, your digestive system is neutral. So you produce enough enzymes from your pancreas and your liver just to neutralize the acid coming out your stomach. But what if there's no acid coming out your stomach? Now you're not digesting anything. Now everything's just going frot. So if you see a bottle of fruit juice that's gone off in the fridge, what happens? Gas. What happens in your tummy? Gas, bloating, yucky things, right? So stress actually affects the kinds of building blocks that you're able to absorb to reproduce your body and to use as your repair kit. Okay, so we're going to go through 3 simple kinds of breathing very, very quickly. You guys can take pictures and practice them at home. But the number 1 is mindful breathing that we spoke about with James. We're breathing in, we're using the diaphragm. So who knows about diaphragmatic breathing versus lungs? Singers do this a lot. So when you breathe in, take a deep breath in. Is your chest going up? That's not what we want. You want to take a deep breath in, tummy must go out, belly button. You see how fat it goes. So you want the tummy to go out, you want the lungs to expand down, and then you're getting a fuller lung capacity. So there's mindful breathing. Breathing through your nose is incredibly important, guys. It changes the pressure at which you are moving air into your lungs. Now imagine blowing up a balloon. Your lung is made up of lots of little balloons. Those balloons need to fill with air in order to get oxygen to your lungs. Imagine blowing up a balloon with a normal little tiny balloon hole. You can blow it up quite easily, right? More or less. But now imagine the hole to blow up the balloon was this size. Impossible to blow up the balloon to its full capacity. We're breathing through our mouth. We're changing the pressure at which we're able to inflate those lungs. Nose breathing is very important. In through the nose and out through the mouth. It also moistens the air and it filters the air. All those little nose hairs that we sometimes don't love, they're there for a reason. They're there to filter out all the bad guys before it gets to your lungs. So here's just a little exercise you can do. It's on YouTube. You can put it on your phone. And just if you're in a very stressful moment, you want to breathe in to the rhythm of it expanding and out through your mouth to the rhythm of it deflating. And in again and out. Cool, right? Okay, so another thing about breathing is we all think that it's oxygen in, carbon dioxide are out, right? Who thought that? Do you know that carbon dioxide is the thing that helps you absorb the oxygen into your blood? We kind of need it. So when we do certain kind of breathing exercises, it's more to increase a bit of carbon dioxide to express and to push the oxygen into the lungs. So there's a very nice test that you can do to see how well you are absorbing oxygen. So what you want to do is you want to just sit up straight or lie down. And you want to breathe out all your air, all the way out. And then on a stopwatch, you're going to time how long it takes for you to feel uncomfortable. The minute you feel uncomfortable, you start breathing again. Please don't. No one's passing out here today. And you're going to check on your stopwatch. If it's between 40 and 60 seconds, you're super healthy. Most of us are sitting between 20 and 40 seconds. And if you're under 10, we need to go see a doctor, or we need to start doing breathing exercises. We are not absorbing it into our blood, and our hemoglobin starts to go down. This is a very cool guy, Wim Hof. I don't know if any of you have heard of him. He's the Iceman. He has created this whole way of breathing and getting into cold temperatures called cryotherapy to increase athletic performance and healing. And the science has been unbelievable. Do you know in South Africa now you can buy a cryo chamber? It's basically a freezing sauna. You go in there with just slippers and a bikini and gloves, and you've got to be in there for 3 minutes, and it is cold. But it is shown to increase neuroplasticity, increase blood flow, change your longevity status, reduce wrinkles, reduce pores, change the texture of your skin, all of these things from just being cold for a little bit of time. And you can do it at home. So what we're going to start doing tonight, or tomorrow morning, whenever your next shower is you're going to have your awesome shower, wash your hair, enjoy it, and then turn the hot water off. And you're going to start with 30 seconds. And you're going to build it up to 2 minutes. You can do it, Jenny. It's incredible how you feel afterwards. It literally changes your biochemistry for the day. And it increases neuroplasticity, which helps you retain more information more effectively. Okay. So we were debating whether we were going to talk about how to upgrade your energy levels. We didn't know if we had time or if you guys had energy to upgrade your energy. Who wants to go through these slides quickly about upgrading energy? Just show of hands. Okay, we're doing it. All right, mitochondria, my favorite thing in the whole wide world. Anyone who's heard me speak about this before knows that this is where I nerd out. So, your mitochondria produce up to 90% of the energy in your body. You cannot survive 3 seconds without your mitochondria. Do you think we should take it seriously? 10 million billion mitochondria in your body. 10% of your body weight. 40% of your cytoplasmic volume, 40% of your cell, is mitochondria. Do you know that you can trace your maternal line back over 1,000 years, and now they're saying up to 10,000 years, by mitochondrial DNA? Because mitochondria is only pushed through the mom. You don't get any of your dad's mitochondria, because it's all sitting in the tail of the sperm, and that breaks off, right? So maternal DNA can be traced back millennia almost. If we could figure out a way to produce more mitochondria, wouldn't that be cool? You can build more muscle, you can burn more fat, you can reduce inflammation, exercise performance and fitness goes up, cognitive function goes up. Where do you think we use most of the energy? Where are those mitochondria sitting? In the brain. Where's the first place they shut down when you're low on energy? Frontal cortex. Why? We don't need it to survive. Right? Age-related deterioration, and it could possibly even increase our lifespan. So what can we do to make sure we optimize these mitochondria? Number one, we want to kill off all the sick guys, because we've got a certain amount of mutated ones that are inherited. We do this the best way, which is not even on here: exercise, carb restriction, but intermittent fasting. So my hubby and I just got off something quite extreme. We just did a 3-day water fast. No food for 3 days, just water. Day 1, you get home, you want supper, you go sleep. Day 2, you're hungry. Day 3, you feel amazing. It's almost like switching your body off and on again. Serotonin production increases. The way you metabolize food increases. You've rested your gut. You've rested your liver. Now, I don't recommend you doing this without first speaking to your doctor. Make sure you're healthy. But we can kill them off quite quickly by doing a fast like that. We can also do intermittent fasting where we just skip breakfast. Or we only eat, it's called OMAD, 1 meal a day. But intermittent fasting is only good for you if you're not eating sugar and carbohydrates. Or you're limiting them. We can't not eat the whole day and then have pies and cupcakes at night. That's not going to help these guys. Okay. Then we want to improve the function, make the ones that we've got as strong as humanly possible. And we do that again with diet and exercise. And there's some nutritional supplementation, but that's a very long story we'll do at another time. But they've actually found ways to trick your body into making more mitochondria. They never knew this was possible until a few years ago. We just thought that as our mitochondria got slower and died off, we got slower and died off. Now we can actually produce more. And that's done with intermittent fasting, calorie reduction, and exercise, amongst other things. And then we want to make sure we take away the things that were making them weak in the first place. Now, how many of you use bug spray at home? So few people use bug spray? No one's killing cockroaches and ants? No one? Your bug spray is this? So a lot of these things that kill off our little bugs are designed to kill their mitochondria. So if we're spraying it in our house, what are we doing to us? Antibacterial wipes, antibacterial soaps. Our mitochondria are bacteria. It's a bacteria that invaded our cells. It's not actually part of us. We're killing these off slowly with our environment that's evolving much faster than we've been able to catch up with. Okay. So you can do high-intensity interval training, you can do yoga, you can do CrossFit. You need to do a combination of everything, but really you want to put a bit of stress on these guys. You want to get them to work a little bit harder and restricting carbohydrates. And guys, there's sugar in everything. Everything. Peanut butter, sugar. Tomato sauce, sugar. Start reading labels. As James says, firstly, prize one if it comes in a pack and you don't eat it. Amazing. But prize two, if your grandmother can't recognize the name or the ingredient, you shouldn't be eating it. Right? The second sign is if that thing can sit on the shelf for 6 months, even 3 months, even 2 weeks, and the bugs and the mold won't even eat it, we shouldn't be eating it. Okay, you want things that go through it fast. Okay. Benefits of chronic exercise. When I'm talking about chronic exercise, it's not crazy. It's 30 minutes 3 times a week. That's all. We're not talking crazy things, but we're looking at the development of disease. When you're inactive and overweight, from as early as 30, you're going to start with diseases. And if you're doing exercise 3 times a week for 30 minutes, it can go to 90 before you start to see symptoms. I'm pressing on the wrong thing. So science has proven that we should not be getting sicker and slower from the age of 30. It's crazy. We should only start declining in health in our last 2 years. And what we were speaking about earlier with that singularity event, there's a guy there called Aubrey de Grey. He's my Beyonce. I love him. He's got a beard like this, like a wizard. And he has created a science institute, a research institute, to cure aging. He believes, and has very good information, that the first person to live to 1,000 is only 10 years younger than the first person to live to 150. That's crazy. And what does everyone say to me? I don't want to live to 200. Why? Because we look at people in the 80s and we don't want to be like that for the next 100 years, right? Is that the reason? But what if I did this? What if I said to you, with the wisdom of the age that you are right now, you get to relive your 20s, 30s, 40s. Imagine what you could achieve. Okay. So I'm going to pop through this a little bit and go to upgrading sleep. For how many of you is sleep just a weakness? We're leaving that till the end. It's not the most important thing in our lives. We'd rather finish the work, stay up late. How many of you are getting to bed before 10 p.m.? You are? I'm so happy. So do you know that at 10 p.m. your cortisol, your stress hormone, it spikes? Which means that if you go to bed at 9:45 versus 10:15, you're going to have a better sleep at 9:45. Because your stress and your sleep hormone work on a seesaw. I'm trying to do this and talk into the mic at the same time. So naturally, what should happen is that your pineal gland is the gland that produces your melatonin, your sleep hormone. It sits on your optic nerve here. So what used to happen was, as the sun went down, there was less light going through our pupils. That gland started producing sleep hormone. Slowly, 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 we got more and more tired as it got darker, and then we fell asleep. In the morning, as the sun rose and light went through our eyelids, through our pupils, into this pineal gland, melatonin got less and less and less and less. Our awake hormone started to rise, and we slowly woke up with the sunrise. Is that still happening? We sit on our screens, on our computers, on our laptops, on our iPhones, all at the same time, not one at a time. And there's this thing called blue light that's very, very, very good for you during the day, but not so good for melatonin production. So how many of you have got a blue light filter on your phones? The truth is you all do. It's right there in the settings. I have my blue light filter on all the time. We have a blue light filter on our computers and on our TVs. Just put the blue light filter on at night. Start going to sleep earlier. Get to sleep before 10 o'clock. Do you know that night shift workers and people that cross timelines often have a much higher rate of inflammatory disease and even higher rates of cancer? Because their sleep rhythm is out, and your natural stress hormone is also your body's natural anti-inflammatory. And it's not working for us anymore because we're overstressed and we're exhausted. We've gone from stressed and wired to stressed and tired. You want to make your bedroom your sanctuary. And if you are that person that's waking up between 12 and 4 a.m. and then falling asleep just before your alarm, eat some protein just before you go to sleep. Have a tablespoon of almond butter. Have some avo. Something with yummy, healthy fats and protein. So, how are you guys feeling? Still awake? So this is what I want you to do today. Right now, from this moment, is I want you to take control of your mental space. I want you to be conscious in the moment and know that you are in full power to change your mood in an instant. The person who cut you off in traffic, the boss who shouted at you, the spouse, whoever upset you, do not give them the key to your happiness. Don't let them win the whole day. You are the winner for that day. Only you have that power. How many of you are slouching? Thank you. I want you to stand straight. I want you to sit straight. I want you to stand proud at every moment of every day and be conscious of it. I want you to laugh, and I want you to laugh a lot, and I want you to laugh from your belly that it aches every single day. I want you to breathe. I want you to nourish yourself. I want you to move, and I want you to sleep. I want you to be the dog.
Wow, how good was that? Thanks, Tamara. I'm always so blown away by listening to Tamara. I mean, there's always something new there. And the amazing thing about this is if we stay on this cutting edge information, can you imagine what our life is going to be like in the next 5 to 10 years? You know, it's so easy just to fall back into our old habits all the time and do what we've always known just because that's what we've always done. But by taking on this information, and I really appreciate Tamara being able to share that with us today, it just gives us a different perspective as well. So how many of you have enjoyed this morning?